Guys, today's commentary takes us into a complicated and emotional moment within the Somali community. Now, for years, many Somalis showed, strong loyalty to Donald Trump, not because they agreed with every policy, but because they respected strength, discipline, and of course, leadership. They admired someone who spoke directly, stood firm, and didn't bend under pressure. In a world full of uncertainty, Trump represented structure. He represented order, and many Somalis felt drawn to that. They defended him when critics mocked them. They believed they were safe under his leadership because they saw themselves as hardworking, peaceful, family-centered, and law-abiding. They said, he's tough, but he won't come after us. We contribute, we work hard, we are not the problem. But now, reports of potential deportations targeting around 10,000 Somalis have shaken that confidence to the core. The same community that stood by him is now wondering how they ended up on the chopping block.
Thank you, Salman, and good morning again. My name is Faisal Deri, and we're here gathered today with the community leaders, business leaders, and youth leaders from the Somali community and from the Muslim community in Minnesota. And we're gathered here today to fully support and endorse President Trump and JD Vance.
And I love Trump. We've always loved Trump. And the reason why is because he's a fighter.
What would you say to the president if he were standing here right now?
Mr. President, we campaign for you. We have hope in you. We see hope in you.
I'm not comfortable sometimes because when I drive, when I'm sitting somewhere, not comfortable like before.
She says the president's recent focus on the Somali community is unnerving.
What he said, we've affected all communities. We know some people, they make fraud, but not all.
Politics in Somalia can be, resonate what we have here in the United States, the democracy that we have. How can you help us, be a better country and build back what we used to have back in long time ago? So hopefully, we will be able to help our country, our former country, Somalia.
Anigu waan ahay gabar Mareykanka laga doortay oo Congress-ka Mareykanka ku jirto. Laakiin waxaan ahay gabar Soomaaliyeed, gabar idinku jinsi ah, gabar idinku af ah, gabar idinku diin ah oo hadde qof iyadoo da'yar wadankeedii laga kaxeeyay wili xiise u qabto in maalin wadankeedii ay ku noolaato oo dadkeedii wax ay la wadaagto. Marka alxamdulillah waxaan rajaynayaa aniga iyo ilmahayga in aan hadde ku barbaariyo iyagana ilmahooda ay ku barbaariyaan dhulkii aniga aan ku soo koray. Taasna haddii ay suurtagelayso waa hadda shaqo badan inaan wada qabanaa hadduu Ilaahay yiraahdo oo aan ka dhignaa dhulkeena dhul barwaaqadiisa dadka oo dhan ay dareemaan.
Is Trump's beef with Somalis? Like, are you intimidated by their success and influence? They are the captains now. What do you mean Somalia is barely a country? Oh, are you talking about the 1.1 million that don't have running water? Or the 27% of the population that don't have proper electricity? Or the 750,000 people that don't have homes? Oh, wait, that's the US of A. And it's proper giving projection when he's talking about people running around killing each other. And calling Somalis garbage when they have some of the most gorgeous women on this earth. And that's coming from a man that looks like a dehydrated bit of orange peel that's been left to rot in the sun. Trump, come on now. A man like you that's on the naughty list. And I'm not talking about Santa's naughty list. You're in no position to be talking about anyone, especially about my Somali brothers and sisters.
If you want a good laugh today, check this out.
Somalis are not terrorizing this nation. We are helping it thrive. Somalis have always seen themselves as the fabric of this nation. So not only are we not going anywhere, We are not going to allow anybody to make us feel less Minnesotan or less American.
First and foremost, little Miss Brusband, I don't feel American. I am American, so no one can make me feel less than or less like something that I already am because I was born that. And the real problem stems from the fact that you believe that you are the fabric of this nation. By the way, that metaphor refers to people that share fundamental structures, values, beliefs, you know, culture and all this stuff. Didn't you come from Somalia, where the country's major fabric is Islam, what holds that nation together? And in Islam, you either convert or die. That's their belief system, correct? Or you force them to believe what you believe. Didn't Minnesota change their flag for you? See, if you were the fabric of this nation as you're espousing, you wouldn't have come to change the area you're in. You would assimilate and join in and share your culture and share your beliefs without forcing it on anybody, because no means no. But you guys don't believe in that. If I don't believe what you believe, you say I should die. So please miss me with that.
Hi, so I just really want to make this video from like a human space. This is something I've been really meaning to say, and I'm so glad that I can finally articulate it to you guys. So I'm Somali. I grew up in Minnetonka. I've been raised here my entire life. I am born here and I've lived here. I've studied here. I'm a pre-med. I do research, and that's usually the type of stuff I talk about on my page. But right now I feel like it's really important for me to say this. What I'm going to say is that I have been getting so many messages telling me to go back to your country, go back to your country. But the reality of the situation is the United States is the only country I've ever known my entire life. And the thing is, the great irony of it all is I'm not the ambassador of Somalia. I don't speak for Somali people. I'm not a spokesperson for this community. I'm just one young person trying to study, navigate life, and live like any other 20-something-year-old living here in this state. And so something that I feel like is going on is that there's a lot of immigrant people and first-gen, second-gen kids with, like me, with this weight on our shoulders, trying to explain everything going on in our communities, trying to defend our communities. But I'm really no different from any other 20-something-year-old trying to make it here in this state, in this country, in this world. And so I'm sharing this because I really feel like a lot of us are being treated this way and dealing with this quietly. But the reality is we aren't symbols. We aren't some type of ambassador. We are just human beings like everybody else.
What makes this moment especially painful is the nature of Somali loyalty. Somalis didn't show, quiet support. They showed visible, vocal, and sometimes risky loyalty. They defended Trump online. They explained his policies to, friends and family. They argued that his strict approach wouldn't affect people who stayed out of trouble. They believed their honesty and, work ethic and faith-driven lifestyle would, keep them protected. And then suddenly reality shifted. The news that thousands of Somalis could, be deported hit like a cold wave. It wasn't criminals being discussed. It wasn't people involved in fraud or violence. These, were ordinary residents, students, taxi drivers, moms working in healthcare, fathers with, night shift jobs, people who built their entire adult lives in America. The shock comes from the contradiction. How did a community that prided itself on loyalty become a target of the very system they trusted? And even deeper than that is the emotional punch. Was their loyalty misunderstood, or was it simply ignored? This is where fear, confusion, and heartbreak are growing. Well, to understand the weight of what the Somali community is feeling right now, you have to understand where their loyalty came from in the first place. Somalis are, people shaped by war, displacement, and the constant need for structure. They value order. They value consistency. They value leadership that appears strong rather than uncertain. So when Trump came across as firm, decisive, and unapologetic, many Somalis saw qualities they respected. That admiration wasn't, blind. It came from cultural alignment. Strength is respected. Discipline is respected. A leader who doesn't hesitate is respected. And because of that, many Somalis believed Trump would respect them back. They believed their hard work made them allies, not targets. But now, with talk of deportations resurfacing, it feels like a painful twist. not because people didn't understand US immigration policies, but because they genuinely believed they were safe from them. They believed their clean records, their long work hours, their community values, everything they contributed made them the kind of residents no administration would ever want to remove. And that is why the betrayal feels personal. We are not talking about individuals who caused harm. We are not talking about people gaming the system. We are talking about individuals who've been in America for 10, 20, even 25 years. People who built lives, people who buried loved ones there, people who raised children who speak English better than Somali, people who have woven themselves into the fabric of America's society. So when suddenly the message becomes, you might have to leave, it doesn't just disrupt life, it shatters identity. Many Somalis are now asking painful questions. Did we misunderstand the situation from the beginning? Did our loyalty ever matter? Were we appreciated, or were we simply convenient? The Somali community is realizing something many immigrant groups eventually face. Admiration for a leader does not equal immunity from that leader's policies. Respect doesn't guarantee safety. Loyalty doesn't guarantee protection. And contribution doesn't, guarantee belonging. This isn't just a political moment. It's an emotional reckoning. Families are having conversations they never imagined having. Parents are wondering whether they should prepare documents, call lawyers, or stay quiet and hope this blows over. Young adults born or raised in America are confused about how their parents became targets. Elders who spent their entire lives rebuilding from nothing are terrified of losing everything again. Imagine living somewhere for decades, believing you've done everything right, believing your community stands on moral high ground, and then hearing that thousands of your people may be forced out. That isn't just policy, that is trauma reopening. The Somali community is strong, resilient, and of course used to surviving hardship. But this moment hits different because it wasn't expected, it wasn't predicted, and it wasn't supposed to happen to them. Not the not to the loyal ones, not to the respectful ones, not to the ones who believed they were on the right side of the system. And now the lesson being learned is harsh. In America, admiration for leadership does not translate into guaranteed safety. You can be loyal and still be vulnerable. You can be supportive and still be disposable. You can be respectful and still end up on a list. So as this situation unfolds, the Somali community is forced into deep reflection, not about politics, not about parties, but about identity, belonging, and trust. Somalis are, beginning to ask, if loyalty wasn't enough to keep us safe, then what can keep us safe? This is not a story about political sides. This is a story about, people who trusted, people who believed, and now people who feel exposed in ways they never imagined. And for many Somalis, this moment will be remembered as the time when loyalty met reality and reality didn't show loyalty back. Well guys, drop a comment on the comment section. Let me know what are your thoughts. Also remember to subscribe, like, and share as well. And until next time, bye-bye.